Okay, so wait. Do we go live on 3 or is it after 3? Right?
You never know with Facebook. You never know. They all get to hear us have these background conversations because it never tells us when it's live.
Right. Well, that's how it goes. So we're
You're
live.
on.
We're live now. Oh, hello everyone. It's Facebook Live, and I'm with my good friend and really honored guest, Dr. Ritamarie. And hello, Dr. Ritamarie.
Hello, Dr. Tom. Happy to be here. I always love being with you.
Oh, it is great. And your annual conference is coming up in a few weeks, and I'm honored to be speaking there. Thank you so much for the invitation.
We're honored to have you.
I remember one year we had a tornado.
Oh, remember that? Holy cow, you were there for the tornado. That's right.
That's right. Everyone must leave. Everyone must leave the room. Everyone must go downstairs.
The basement,
right, to the basement.
Oh, that was funny.
That's
Hopefully that won't happen again. I think that's a once in a lifetime thing.
Right. So let's talk for a moment about Shine and the Shine Conference so that our tribe knows a little more about who you are and what this event is.
Absolutely. Love to. I'd love to. And I'm so honored that you're going to be there. And I hope that your tribe wants to come and see you in person. Yay.
Yes.
Give you a big hug. So it's the conference. We do it every year. This is our 6th annual Shine. I think you've spoken. This will be your 5th one to speak at. So you only missed the first one. And it's basically, the Shine is an acronym that stands for a long, long thing. And we'll tell you what it is, but then you can forget it and just call it Shine. It's Scientific and Holistic Investigation of Nutritional Endocrinology. So it's big, and we're exploring all kinds of topics related to hormones and the endocrine system, which is actually the whole body, because hormones are the brain and hormones are everything, the gut, everything is controlled by hormones. So it's basically a way to just get into a holistic look at the whole body. And so what this particular one I'm super excited about, and the title is Leading Edge Strategies to Outsmart Genetics. And it's basically how to understand genetics and all the genetics reports, because as you know, like everybody's talking genetics, right? I've been doing this for decades, but people are now like, wow, I'm THFR and all the genetic stuff, but it's like alphabet soup to most people.
Right.
So, it's like, whoa, what does all this mean? Even practitioners. So this event is geared towards health practitioners, but we do get a lot of savvy, really interested clients that come because they just want to know for themselves and their mom and their family members and all that. And so it's how people think about genetics as I'm born with it. I have brown hair, maybe at one point, blue eyes, that kind of thing. And it's set in concrete. Whereas the genetics in charge of our metabolic pathways are much more malleable. And it's our lifestyle choices that you so eloquently talk about all the time that pull the trigger to whether we express or don't express particular genetic tendencies.
Right. That's so great. And I like your title, Outsmarting Your Genes, because people have heard me say now for a long time, genes don't determine what you get or what happens to you. Genes determine what you're vulnerable to getting and what may happen to you. It just depends on if you pull on the chain or not. And so stop pulling on the chain so much. So let me just say hello to Dr. Bonnie in Chicago and Wanda and Elizabeth. Thanks, Elizabeth, for ordering the book. And Felicia's here, and Jen in Costa Rica. And Marzi and I were in Costa Rica just a few weeks ago.
Oh, I love Costa Rica.
Oh, gosh, it's just fun. And my honey's here. Hi, honey. She's in Poland today. Here with us, so that's really great. And Jennifer asks, and do they determine 23andMe results? Jennifer, I'm not sure who you mean by they. Do they determine 23andMe results? So add a little more clarity to that, would you please? And we'll answer that question. So if you guys have questions for Dr. Ritamarie or myself, feel free to throw them in. And yes, we started a little early today. Yes, I'm an hour earlier than usual, and that's to accommodate our schedule. I just got back in town last night after, gosh, I don't know, 9 weeks, 10 weeks of being gone. I know, long time.
Oh my, that's a long time.
Long time. But I'm back, and it's nice to be back.
Wow.
So Dr. Ritamarie, What are some of the most common triggers that activate genes that we really don't want to activate?
That's a great question. That's a super great question. So environmental toxins, right? We live in this toxic soup, right? We have this toxic soup of chemicals in the air, chemicals in the hair care products, chemicals in the skin products, chemicals in the carpeting, in the shower curtains. We're surrounded by endocrine disrupting and stressful chemicals. And when we get exposed, if there's any, what we call SNPs, single nucleotide polymorphisms, which is
there's a Scrabble word.
There you go. AKA genetic quote unquote mutations, which I don't think they're mutations. I think they're adaptations. Like you're different from me, the same way your hair color, your skin color. There's all these different little subtleties that are different. Our insides are a little different too, metabolically. And those genes, and we call them single nucleotide polymorphisms, has to do with the way, we'll talk about all that at the conference and you'll totally understand that. We call them SNPs. So if you have specific SNPs that say affect a detox pathway in the liver, or affect your thyroid function, or affect the way your body, the microbiome is handled, and then you pull the trigger, yank the chain, as you like to say, with the environmental, the gluten, the inflammatory fats in the diet, stress, and mental, emotional stress, worry, overwhelm, etc. When we yank on that chain, we end up getting manifestations that we don't necessarily want.
Exactly right. And well said. I mean, I could have said those exact same words, word for word. So Kim Perotti's in the house from Rome. Ciao, Kim. Glad you're here. Thank you so much. Sonia from Germany is here. Hello, Sonia. I was in Stuttgart last week. No, two weekends ago. Yeah, I was in Stuttgart for the weekend, my wife and I. Stan from New Jersey's in the house.
Oh, Stan, I know
everywhere him. Is right. Stan, you're absolutely right, Stan. And, as Dr. Rita is saying, you guys have heard me say this so many times, but it really takes repetition for things to kind of get in once in a while. And that is, it's the overwhelm. It's the threshold that we've crossed with all of the toxins we're exposed to that is the trigger in the development of the autoimmune diseases we get. And it's just unbelievable. It's hard. No, never before in the history of humanity have we been exposed to as many chemicals as we are today, and we're exposed 24/7. When we're sleeping, when we're eating, when we're walking outside, a little bit less, maybe, depending on what's in the air or the chemtrails of being flying from overhead.
It's true.
It just keeps coming. Leonie's here from South Africa. Hi, Leonie. And Kathy, so glad to be with Dr. Tom talk again. Oh, thanks, Kathy. That's really nice. Guys, could you give me a little thrill? Can you give me a heart or a thumbs up? I love seeing all those things go flying.
I love that.
It's really great when that happens. So Lynn's here from South Australia. Hi, Lynn. It's 7:45 in the morning there on Wednesday morning. So thank you for getting up to do this with us. Thank you so much. And here come the hearts and the thumbs. Thank you. That's really great. Thank you so much. Nasaya from Arizona, Jose is here. Thank you guys, all of you that are here. Really glad, really glad. And Dr. Ritamarie, a question came in. Can we undo an activated gene?
That's a great question. That's a great question. And we probably will get multiple opinions depending on who you ask. I think we can.
Well, that's 2 for 2, and there's only 2 of us here.
Yay!
So it's unanimous. It's unanimous.
Yay, it's unanimous.
Which is how we reverse autoimmune diseases.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. So, I'm sorry, I interrupted. Please
continue. No, that's perfect because and making that connection with autoimmune diseases, because Western medicine believes you can't reverse autoimmune diseases. You're stuck. You were born this way, you're gonna die this way, take some steroids or whatever, and hope for the best.
Yes.
And we know better, right? You've written a whole book on it, you did a whole summit on it, you have your new book that's out. Is it out yet, or is it just coming out?
Yep.
I haven't ordered mine yet.
it just came out. It just came. Oh, the hearts keep coming. Thank you so much. Yeah, just keep doing this because it's so great to see all that.
And
I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I'm sure you're going to talk about it in your book, but the idea that so many of the diseases, the degeneration, the neurologic stuff that happens is related to autoimmunity, is related to the body attacking itself, the Purkinje cells, the cerebellar antibodies, all this other stuff that gets broken down. And how do you fix it, right? This same way you fix your thyroid disease, your Hashimoto's, the same way you fix your Crohn's disease. You know, there may be some specific protocols that are going to be helpful for repairing the specific area that got damaged by these antibodies, but to calm the fires of autoimmunity, it's mostly the same stuff, right?
That's exactly right. It's always very, very similar. Misty Rushing's in the hi, Misty, and Susan from Central Texas. Teresa's in Ireland. Donna, Prince Edward Island in Canada. Hey, Donna, wow. Thanks for joining us.
International crowd. Hey.
Yeah, Diana from the mountains of Idaho. Moria from Dublin. Jennifer, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Stan said, get rid of your mattress, formaldehyde. Get air cleaners and air cleaning plants for your house. What's important for me. Absolutely right, Stan. Absolutely right. And those little things are a really good stopgap, and they'll help. They'll help for each of us and our families. And the only way we're going to save the planet is to, as we protect ourselves, demand that the produce manager at our supermarket starts carrying organic. So you just keep asking every week. And if everyone asks every week, do you have any organic tomatoes today? No. Why not? You know, if we just keep doing that and then demand of our legislators to clean the air, first thing you have to do is protect yourself and your family.
Yes.
That's first, but then take it out into the world, you know, carry this message out.
That's right.
And so for those of you, I've got to go off the Facebook screen here so I can tell you this thing that I'm really proud of. And that is that my book came out last week. And thanks to all of you, we're currently ranked number 6 in all of Amazon's books. I'm sorry, 36. 36 in all of Amazon's books. We're ranked number 1 in memory improvement, Alzheimer's, immune system, neurology, strokes, sleep disorders, nervous system diseases, memory improvement, self-help, and dementia. So
whoa.
I know, isn't that great?
That's really awesome.
Great. That's really great. So thank you all.
Congratulations.
And I mentioned this last week, and you know, I did it unabashedly and felt pretty good about it, and afterwards felt good. And that was that I asked all of you watching that if you would, please consider ordering another copy of the book and send it to someone you love. Send it to someone you love. You know, and I think I get $1.12 from every book.
Right.
Not for me, but really it's to educate more people with the topics that we're talking about here today, and that will be at the Shine Conference. Oh, Terry says, fix your brain rocks. Well, thank you, Terry. That's really nice of you. Really nice.
You know, I'm going to share something too, what you just said, and you said share it with someone. Share it with your doctor, share it with your doctor friends, share it with those folks that are in the system that are missing the mark. They're looking at the this for that. They're looking for the, you know, the cover up. They're not looking to fix it. And they've come to believe, because it's what they've been taught in medical school, that brain problems don't reverse, Alzheimer's not reversible or preventable, you know, and autoimmune's not. And I would say share it with a health practitioner.
Absolutely. Really good suggestion. Really good suggestion. Stephen from Albuquerque, Galena from Miami, Moriah from Indiana, Chris in Pittsburgh, nice. and Nedia, Enedina,
Endina. She's in one of my programs. She's in a couple of my programs.
Oh, she's from Mid-Ohio. Do not say Ohio State. Do not say that, girl. Because I'm from Michigan. I'm from the University of Michigan, so you can't say Ohio State.
Oh wow! Are they competitors? Yeah.
Yes, they are. That's just a joke. That's just a joke. Of course, it's fine. Of course, it's fine. Liz Kennedy, hi, Liz in the UK. Yes, we are a little earlier today, Liz. Schedules had to be changed today. Sorry about that. Glad you're here, though. Diane says, love your work and new book. Thank you, Dr. Tom. Can you address natural latex mattress? Are they really a healthy choice? Dr. Ritamarie, do you want to take that one?
I haven't done a lot of research on it. So you know, it's certainly going to be better than those memory foams, which are loaded with chemicals. And a lot of the mattresses just have so much, like Stan said, formaldehyde and other things in there. They have these, I don't know if she's talking about the ones that are made from old recycled tires. There's all kinds of options, 100% organic cotton as a mattress. There's a lot of options as things that you can do instead. But it's really, people don't realize, right? You're sleeping on this thing for how many hours a night? Night after night after night after night.
Yeah, you can't sleep on something that's got flame retardant chemicals in it, because these things outgas. They outgas. And although I'm not aware of what a natural latex mattress is, I just don't know. I think of natural mattresses, cotton mattresses, things like that are safer. So I'm sorry, Diane, I just can't comment on that one. I just don't know. Susan Larson says, great idea to gift a book. Thank you, Susan. Jody says, your books are great. Thanks, Jody. Oh, my daughter's watching. Hi, honey.
Hey, hi, daughter.
My daughter, Kelly. Kelly, this is Dr. Ritamarie.
Hi, Kelly. And Susan's going to be at Shine. She's already, several of the people that you mentioned.
Marvelous. Way to go. Way to go. I flew home yesterday from, where was I? Honey, where were we? London. And I flew home from London and changed planes in Chicago. And I had a 3-hour layover, and that wasn't long enough. So, you know, I fly often enough. I thought I'd ask United. I said, can you give me a flight a little later back home? And they said, sure. So then I hopped in an Uber and I went to visit my daughter and my granddaughter.
Oh, how sweet.
Together. And that was really great.
What a wonderful surprise and excitement.
Really pleasant. And Kelly just sent me a picture today of my granddaughter and I reading to each other. She had 2 copies of the same book. It was very cute. It was a lot of fun to do that.
Sweet. And that's part of, you know, going back to what we were talking about, outsmarting genetics, that connection, the family connection, the love connection is such an important overlooked piece. And when we have some genetic, maybe, you know, things in our genes that may predispose us, when we can fill our lives with, like you said, organic food and toxic-free environment and love, and that relationship, that connection is so important, and it's overlooked a lot, I think.
Oh, my daughter says that Mia says, hi, Nono. Hi, Mia. Hi, honey. Hi, Mia.
Sweet.
That's really sweet.
Oh, nice.
Christine says, just got home from work. What are you talking about today? Just got home from work from Wisconsin. And we're talking about genetics and how to turn off the genes that you want off and turn on the genes you want on. Vicky Cork says, hi, Dr. Tom from London. Hi, Vicky. And Brian Miller says, when you coming back to Ann Arbor? I'm not sure, Brian. Would love to, though. Really, that's my home away from home in Michigan. I really like it there. Jane says, go blue. All right, Jane. Yes. You know, I was on the plane coming from London yesterday, and this guy walks down the aisle past me. He's wearing a Michigan hat. I just said, go blue. He says, right on, brother. Just kept walking. So, there's this underground, you know, world.
The world that, you know, that don't follow the sports stuff. I'm like, no clue what you're talking about.
So let's talk for a minute about spices that turn on genes for anti-inflammatory result. And how just using a little bit of spices every day is a base hit that helps turn on some genes. You don't have to drown yourself in spices, but just having a little with your food can make such a big difference. For me, I do it with cinnamon, with my coffee. I put cinnamon in my coffee, or when I make my applesauce. For those of you that know that little trick about healing the gut, how applesauce helps so much, always puts just a little bit of cinnamon in there. But Dr. Ritamarie, what are some of the spices that you use, and how do you use them to turn
I love cinnamon.
To turn on an anti-inflammatory effect.
Yeah, but the ones that I would say, turmeric is a really good one. And I use it in everything. I take a big chunk like this of fresh turmeric and I put it in my smoothies, and I drink a big green smoothie with the turmeric in it. Cayenne's another one that people don't think of as an anti-inflammatory, but it actually is. If you can deal with, you know, the burn of it.
Well, you don't have to taste it.
No, that's true.
I also use cayenne in my smoothies and in my cooking. And in my coffee, I just don't put enough of it in there that I taste it.
That you taste it. Yeah. Yeah. I love the taste, so I don't mind, but I was thinking more in terms
of you're hot.
I'm a hot Italian.
You're a hot babe, so that's okay.
I need
there you go.
Turmeric and ginger. Ginger. Yeah, ginger. What about ginger? Do you like ginger?
Yeah, I do. I do like ginger.
I use ginger a lot too. And I will take ginger and turmeric fresh and grind them up using one of those microplaners, and then add a little bit of sesame oil and put it over whatever, vegetables or cauliflower rice, little bits of cauliflower that have been riced. It's pretty much anything. I love that combination with the cayenne, actually.
Guys, I think I talk about base hits win the ball game all the time. And this is one I mentioned a couple of weeks ago for the first time, and I'm just reminded now. I think I put it in the book too. Yeah, I did put it in the book. And that is, just get some flower pots and just plant some seeds in there in the windowsill in the kitchen, or parsley, and for rosemary, or for thyme, or oregano. They're all spices that have anti-inflammatory benefits. They all do. And the ones that Dr. Ritamarie is talking about, turmeric, sure, we all should be using a little turmeric every day. I've not thought about using the root in a smoothie.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome.
That's a great idea. And most stores now carry roots of turmeric. You can buy them, and they're not expensive at all. I take the powder turmeric and I put it in that way.
That works too.
Yeah. But plant some herbs. If you plant some herbs, that's one of those little base hits, and there's not going to be enough that you're going to use every day for the next 3 months, but you use some, and then you'll use some of another one, and then another one, and the first one's growing back a little bit, so that and you'll learn how to make it work out okay. But as you learn about indoor herb gardens, and then you'll, like, in the 1 hour a week, maybe 1 week, you're just going to read a little about rosemary. So you're going to go to that great library in the sky, Google, and you're going to type in rosemary and health benefits of rosemary. And here come the articles, and you'll start reading, say, wow, that's very cool. I'm going to use a little rosemary in all the potatoes that I make for my family, right? And then you just start doing it all the time. Just as you learn these little things that help, and it's all base hits win the ball game. It's always base hits.
I love it. You don't
need
a
home just run. Asked, she says, I didn't get the name of your guest. This is Dr. Ritamarie Loscalzo, who is hosting the Shine Conference in Austin, Texas, November 1st?
2nd to 4th. November 2nd to 4th. It's a 3-day live event geared mainly towards health practitioners, but we do have quite a number of people who are not health practitioners or who are wannabe health practitioners who want to learn more and who are really just out to learn about themselves and their family. And it's about genetics. It's called Leading Edge Strategies to Outsmart Your Genetics. And what we mean by that is, like, you think you're born with these genes, but we're going to do these things in our life that's going to make it so that we don't get cancer and we don't get autoimmune disease and we don't do that. We got you. And we're going to learn how to read those reports. Somebody mentioned earlier, 23andMe. We're going to learn how to run reports. And in fact, when you sign up, we'll tell you which reports you can get. You can do them for yourself, your mother, yourself, and bring them with you, because we're going to teach you how to understand them and then how to personalize your lifestyle and nutrition plan based on what you're finding.
So I'm looking forward to it. I'll be there. I'm teaching there. And as usual, I'm a little geeky when I'm teaching, but it's always, I think, pretty interesting. And people are engaged by it.
Always. Yeah.
So many people have just commented on the pots idea on your windowsill. Elizabeth asked a good question. Do you have to add black pepper when using turmeric for absorption? And Elizabeth, that's a really good question. And the answer is no, you don't have to. But yes, it's a good idea.
It enhances it, right? I don't always use it. I don't always remember to do it. But
I don't put it in my coffee. I put turmeric in my coffee, but I don't put black pepper in my coffee. And so I'm not going to absorb as much of it as I would if I included black pepper. And that's a really advanced question. So way to go, Elizabeth. That shows that you're doing your 1 hour a week. You're learning, some of the base hit principles, and then just checking with us to see, do I really need to do it? and I don't do it often. If I'm putting turmeric, if I'm eating like a meal with turmeric in it, then I will, because I'll put it on the food, but I don't put it in my beverages. So yeah, it's better if you do, but no one.
We can't be perfect, you know, and that's the thing. And we're going to learn some of those genes that might predispose you to wanting to be perfect. Some of those neurologic and we'll go through that, and you can laugh at yourself, because I always tell people, oh, I've got a whole bunch of those. You got a whole bunch of those. Let's just keep ourselves honest and know that we're doing the best we can. Yeah. And we're never going to be perfect.
Amen to that.
And blame your genes if you start to feel you're rolling into the triangle. Oh, it's all my genes. Right. Because I have a lot of genes that predispose me to anxiety and perfectionism and all that. But I've learned over the years how to eat right, but also how to do mindfulness practices that help to bring me down off the ledge. And I generally don't go, get crazy anymore, like I might have when I was a teenager or a young adult.
Well, you also set up your environment to support you.
Yes.
Like the screens behind you. Look how beautiful
it. Isn't that beautiful? I look at that and I'm tranquil and peaceful, and I go to bed.
It's such a nice idea. I look at it and I go, oh, that's nice. I like kind of calming and relaxing. Yes. Yeah. Let's see. Elizabeth says, Christine, her name is Dr. Ritamarie Loscalzo. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
And Lynn says, I'm growing rosemary, oregano, lemon, thyme, and mint.
Ooh.
Way to go. Way to go. Susan says, cocoa, cinnamon and cayenne, coconut milk powder, and mushroom powders to make a yummy hot chocolate elixir. I learned this from Dr. Ritamarie.
I was just going to say, where'd you get that recipe? That's my recipe. Yes, it's yummy. Right. Yeah.
And Wanda says, Saatva, SAATVA.com makes organic cotton mattresses to buy online.
Ooh.
I have one and it's great. No formaldehyde or off-putting gases. Way to go. Thank you for sharing that. There was one a little earlier, too. There was one that I'm going to, here it is. Elizabeth wrote, check out IntelliBed mattresses promoted by the Green Smoothie Girl. So Robin does her homework, and
does for sure.
before she endorses something. So I'm sure that's a good mattress. I don't know of it, but I would, if Robin says it's good, I would put weight behind that.
Mm-hmm.
And Felicia asked the question, Felicia Bodacious Journey Whitehair. That's a great name. Felicia Bodacious Journey Whitehair. Felicia, what is your opinion, the thing that triggers alopecia universalis?
Oh, boy. I mean, that is an autoimmune condition, right?
Yeah.
So the triggers are going to be the same in general as the triggers for Hashimoto's, lupus, Crohn's. There may be a couple of little additional ones, but it's like Dr. Tom always says, right? Where's your weak link? It's going to yank on the chain wherever your weak link is. So heal the gut, right? Look for what was that initiating lifestyle factor. You likely have a gene that predisposes you, and you're going to have to get your body in balance and identify imbalances. So it's all about identifying imbalances, not this for that. This herb is great for this disease. That's back to allopathic medicine, and that's not where we're coming from.
Exactly right. I fully agree with everything you said. And I start many of my talks now with a case from the medical literature on alopecia areata. And this one was a 44-year-old guy that started developing hair loss. Out of the blue. And within 6 weeks, he had a big bald spot on the back of his head and his chin, that the stubble on the beard, there was no stubble. And they gave him the standard steroid drugs, creams to put on, nothing worked. And they also gave him a anti-anxiety pill because he had to be anxious if he was losing his hair. And the guy said, I don't have any problems, but they gave him the medication anyway. Nothing worked. But one doc noticed that he had some dyspepsia, like almost a little heartburn. So they checked him, and he had a Heliobacter infection, H. pylori, Heliobacter pylori. So they gave him the medications to eradicate the bacterial infection, said, stop all that other stuff, just stop it. And 6 weeks later, they rechecked, the Heliobacter was gone. And then they show you the picture at 6 weeks, and his hair's starting to grow back. And then at 14 weeks, I think it was, more hair. At 32 weeks, the hair was covered. And at 44 weeks, he was as bushy as could be. And it was a bacterial infection. And when the immune system was attacking the bacteria, there's something called molecular mimicry. And that's in the book, my book, The Autoimmune Fix. I explain that in detail. Molecular mimicry, that when the immune system was going after the antibodies to Heliobacter, the component of protein in Heliobacter that the antibodies were attacking looks a lot like some of the protein in the hair follicles. So the antibodies went after the hair follicles and started triggering the alopecia. So the concept that Dr. Ritamarie talked about, that's exactly right. You have to look for the trigger. And when you have an aggressive autoimmune disease like alopecia universalis, means your whole body is losing hair, then you have to check for what antibodies are elevated right now. And the tests that I would look for, and you can have your doc do this for you, or you can do them on our site. The Cyrex test, I think it's number 11, array number 11, that looks at all of the different bacteria and some viruses to see if you have elevated Heliobacter or Mycobacterium or Klebsiella antibodies. And I would do the wheat zoomer and Cyrex number 11. I believe it's number 11, and my honey will put the links here. Honey, the chemical test. It's either 11 or 12. I don't remember which one it was.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
But the link will be here in just a minute. Leanne Scott's watching from Australia. Hello, Leanne.
We got an international crowd. I love it.
We do.
I love it.
Let's see. Lynn DeBoer Johnson says, you need to be careful of black pepper if you have nightshade issues, right? And that's a really good point. If you have nightshade sensitivities, you may have a sensitivity with black pepper. I, for example, have a nightshade sensitivity that is with okra, green peppers, and white potatoes. But the other peppers I'm fine with, like poblano or what are the other peppers that I like?
Anchos and
shishito peppers, I think. Those are fine. I have no problem with those at all. So if you have a nightshade sensitivity, that's a family. And my personal experience is some of them I have noticeable response to, some I don't.
Yeah. And you know what, the nightshades, what I find is dose dependent. So with black pepper, the dose is like nothing. With red bell pepper, potato, tomato, the dose is quite large.
Yes,
so
good
you might
point.
get away with a real tiny amount of a particular nightshade. It's not like an allergen where it's like stimulating that IgE response right away.
Yes.
Where it's more of a dose dependent sensitivity.
Shobana says it's Cyrex 12. Thank you, Shobana. Thank you. And we'll put the link here in just a moment for anyone who wants to look for that test. You can download information, take it to your doctor, say, please order this test. And if they won't do it, order it on our website, if you're in the US. But you also can order that test in the UK. Cyrex is in the UK. They're in Poland. They are about to go to Switzerland.
Oh, good.
And they also are in Sweden. So Cyrex is expanding.
Nice.
They're expanding.
Nice. Very good.
Dr. Rita, what's your go-to smoothie? What's your favorite smoothie?
Well, mine might be different than most. So we put in, start with greens, some sort of greens, whether it's arugula, usually a combination, arugula, kale, spinach, leafy greens like the lettuces and all. We put a cucumber, put some celery, tomatillo, ginger, turmeric, hot, because I like hot, so a piece of cayenne or some, piece of jalapeno or cayenne, lemon, lots of lemon and lime. And what else do we put in there? Yeah, some stuff like that. I like to put kelp in there. My husband tends to put ume vinegar in there. But I like putting kelp because I love getting the sea vegetables and that increase in amazing minerals and the iodine and all that other stuff.
Right.
But the other thing I like to put in there is a combination of mineral-rich bone supporting herbs, which would be like nettles, horsetail, and alfalfa. We grind them up into a powder and put some of that in there, and whatever else I might be in the mood for, right? I feel like I need some cordyceps mushroom today, or I need some adaptogens, so I might throw in a little bit of ashwagandha, and then an avocado or something fatty, but I usually put an avocado to keep it smooth.
That's a great example of the weirdest smoothie I've ever heard of. But it's great because it's a great example. You can make your own. You can make whatever you want in there. All these healthy foods, you just throw them in there, throw some spices in there. You make it the way you want.
Exactly. And tune into what your body needs in any particular point in time. Don't get into the same thing over and over. Yeah. What's your body feel like it needs right now? And if you're drawn to a particular herb or spice or vegetable, throw it in there.
Exactly. Annie Hayes from Kitchener, Ontario is in the house. Hi, Annie. Thanks for joining. Cheryl O'Brien. And Cheryl, you spell your name the right way. I'm impressed. We must be cousins. Any benefits from any mushrooms? Oh, absolutely.
Oh, tons.
There are so many mushrooms that have wonderful benefits to enhance your immune system function. And it's a kind of a 101, if you will, meaning a basic concept when you're wanting to strengthen your immune system, to help your immune system, add some mushrooms. And they can be profound in their effects and their benefits.
Yeah, even like there's the medicinal ones, like the heavy duty, the heavy hitters, cordyceps, reishi, chaga, maitake. These are all heavy hitters, shiitake. But then there's even just the brown button mushrooms have enhancing effects on the thyroid and on the endocrine system, aromatase inhibitors. So there's a lot of really good, the people who have high estrogens and their testosterone gets converted to mushrooms can be a really good source. So mushrooms, I think, are a very therapeutic food, and they've gotten a bad rap because people are like, oh, they're in the fungal family. Yeast candida is in the fungal family. They're different. They're different.
Yeah. Missy Rankin asked the question, I went on LDN, that's low dose naltrexone, and the pain from Lyme and fibromyalgia almost went away, but the fatigue was intense. I'm addressing chronic fatigue syndrome too. Any ideas to lessen the pain without LDN or increase energy with LDN? So when you reduce the pain, chronic pain that you've had with LDN, what LDN does is it stimulates your opiate receptors. So it's calming down your opiate receptors. It's just relaxing your system. When you feel severe fatigue, or when your chronic fatigue gets worse because of your pain reducing, that tells us that the pain was stimulating your adrenals. You get a little juice from that, and it's keeping you going. So that means the underlying platform, your base level of energy right now is pretty darn low. And the question I would have is, why is it that way? Yeah. What's suppressing your energy? What is suppressing your mitochondria? Because that's the furnace in your cells. And what we commonly find is that there's a chronic toxin or toxins with an S in there. Heavy metals, bacterial infections, viral infections. So that's when you go, once again, to Cyrex 12, Array 12, and 11. So 12 is the bacteria, 11 is the chemicals, because I want to see. For example, I just learned fairly recently, ANA antibodies, which are very common to see elevated when doctors look for them. ANA stands for anti-nuclear antibodies. That's the nucleus in your cell. And you say, oh, you got ANA antibodies, and that's the nucleus in the cell. What cell is that? It's every cell. It's every cell. It's your brain cells, kidney cells, eye cells, bone cells, muscle cells, liver cells. I mean, every cell. Yeah. Well, why? Well, mercury goes into the nucleus of the cells. So if your body is storing toxic levels of mercury, this is why sometimes with autistic kids and you do heavy metal tests, it doesn't come out. And they still register normal, but you start detoxing them, and 2, 3, 4 tests down the road, all of a sudden you start seeing tremendously high levels of these toxic metals because they were so deep in the tissue. They're in the nucleus of the cells.
Mm-hmm.
So I would wonder about toxicity levels for you, Missy. And is your mitochondria being suppressed because of high concentrations of toxic chemicals somewhere in your system? So I'd start with arrays 11 and 12. I'd start there. Any other thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I do actually, because you got to look at what feeds the mitochondria, and B vitamins are a critical component, in particular B2 and B3. And then amino acids are the substrates that the body's like carrying through this cycle to eventually make ATP, which is your energy. And if there's disruption in that, then you need to be looking at that. Because if you think about what the average person eats, their diet is severely deficient in B vitamins because most of the food is refined and the B vitamins have been stripped away. So I'd be looking at that. People who are on statins, I'd be looking at their CoQ10 levels, because CoQ10 is a critical piece in making energy. And so if they're on statins and their CoQ10 is being suppressed, then they're not going to be making as much energy. And then oxidative byproducts. So cellular metabolism produces a lot of oxidative byproducts, which damages. And if we're low in antioxidants, because we're not getting it in our food or because of a genetic pathway issue, then we're going to need to support the antioxidants. And glutathione comes to mind, SOD, catalase, and, not just the vitamin A, C, and E. We're talking about the major big heavy hitters, and they are very dependent on a lot of the nutrition. So it's like this snowball.
Yep.
It starts with some exposures, and it starts with some bad food and insufficient nutrients, and it just keeps building and building and building, and we need to stop it in its tracks.
Yep, really, really good answer. Really good answer. Mm-hmm. Kay Stewart says, what causes constant nausea and bloating? What tests other than conventional testing can be done? And then she added to that a little bit more, and she said, had many blood tests done, but only conventional tests. Did have diverticulitis a few months ago, treated with antibiotics. I'm now on probiotics. So when I read the first question you asked, Kay, the first thing that came to mind of all the things that I'd want to check is your microbiome.
Yeah.
That would be first. And then when you validated that later on, you said you had diverticulitis, so they put you on antibiotics, and now you're better and you're on probiotics. So diverticulitis means that the diverticuli, the pockets in the colon, are inflamed. Mm-hmm. And itis is always an inflammation, whether it's arthritis or bursitis or conjunctivitis or diverticulitis. It's just an inflammation. So that's your microbiome. And after being on antibiotics, it certainly is going to alter your microbiome even further.
Right.
So the test that I'd suggest you consider is Biome, Biome, to get a big picture overview of what's going on in your microbiome. And we'll put a link here for that one for you, Biome. And I think there's a special, it's still going on, where you can save $100 on the test. So we'll have the link for you here. Honey, can you put the link in here, please? That would be great. Sophia says, while traveling on a plane, I have unbearable nausea as soon as it encounters turbulence. Is there a solution, please? Dr. Rita, you want to try that one?
Yeah. So, that's an imbalance, and it could be in your inner ear, that there's an inner ear imbalance when the pressure changes and your kind of turbulence, you're rocking back and forth, and the vestibular mechanism in your head can be creating that. Other things I would think about, again, going back to the gut, right? Because even if you have a little bit of vestibular stuff, if the gut is really in good shape, you're not necessarily going to get the nausea going on. It could be vagal nerve. It could be the vagus nerve is not being stimulated properly. And the vagus nerve is part of our parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest, repose, digest, all the good stuff that we want. The healing happens there. And if you're under a lot of stress and your vagus nerve is having some issues, then this becomes this real stressful situation. And it's, again, like snowballs, like you just add all these different stressors together and they come up with an end result.
You know, thanks. That was a great answer. And one of the things I wanted you guys to see is the kind of answers that Dr. Rita gives. We're very similar in how we think, and which is great. But she has this conference coming up in a few weeks, the Shine Conference. It's in Austin, Texas, November 2nd and 3rd. And I'll be there. And who are some of the other guest speakers that'll be there?
Yeah, so we have Donna Gates of Body Ecology Diet, and she is just amazing. And she's been digging into the genes and the gut and the stress response for a long time. And then JJ Virgin is coming, and she's going to talk about how do you take what you're doing with this and create this business that it will thrive, right? So how do you actually make a living doing this? And she's really, we know her very well. She's really brilliant at that.
You know, guys, if JJ's in the house, you are going to be entertained.
Oh yeah.
That's a given. And it's the kind of thing that there are always pearls that stay with you the rest of your life. Yeah. So it's Austin, Texas, November 2nd and 3rd. How do they find, is there a link here? Yes. We've already put a link in. We'll do it again.
Good. So just click it. You'll read all about it. You'll see what we're going to do there. And, you know, there's just so much justice you can do on a piece of paper, but it's going to be transformational because there's so much confusion about all this genetic stuff and like, certain like microbiome issues there's specific genetic SNPs that will predispose you to have to be much more careful about tending to your little garden down there, your microbiome, right? And the same thing with the brain. Dr. Tom is going to talk about the brain and the effects there. And we'll tie that into some of the genetic SNPs that you can nourish and you can prevent those from expressing via diet and lifestyle. So we're going to help you to put together even the nutrients, right? There's certain nutrient SNPs that if you have them, you might need to just make sure you get more of the foods or supplements with those particular nutrients to keep yourself in balance.
That's the value of doing genetic testing, in my opinion, is to know where your vulnerabilities are, because that in itself is not worth a cup of coffee. But knowing where your vulnerabilities are and then knowing what to do so that you don't pull on that chain, causing that link to break, that's priceless.
Yes.
That's really priceless.
That's what we're doing. Because I know there's a lot of very academic type genetic conferences out there, which are amazing and I love it. But I want to take it from the academic to the practical. So we're going to actually ask you if you've done a 23andMe report on yourself or on a parent or family member or your client, bring it with you. We're going to tell you which reports to run on it so you can lay it out in front of you and you can actually figure out. And we're going to say, oh, you have this one and you have this one and you have this one. Okay, what should I then do about it? What should I advise this patient to do about it?
Marvelous, marvelous. Well, my honey said that she's off to bed. So good night, sweet lady. So she's in Poland right now. It's 8 hours later there, or 9 hours later.
9, oh my.
Yeah. And so this is an interesting one. This is, let's see, hang on, where is it now? It was just a good one. Don't understand why. I started having seizures at 46 years old. Now I'm 60. Hate these meds I'm on. So in the world of nutritional endocrinology, when a symptom begins for a person out of the blue at 46 for a woman, Annie, first thing you think of is, all right, is she perimenopausal?
Right.
And if she's perimenopausal, then what kind of imbalances are there that are affecting the nerve hormones called neurotransmitters? And then you set up the whole brain dysfunction balance, if you will, based on that. So I certainly would be looking at hormone levels to see what are your hormone levels when addressing this. And I'll just say this about seizures, just to keep it all in perspective. And this is for children, but other studies for adults, but this one was with children. Children with drug-resistant epilepsy. That means at least 3 drugs have not worked and they still have their seizures. 50% of those children go into complete remission on a gluten-free diet. So it easily could be a food that's triggering it. It could be a hormone imbalance for you, Annie. You need the drugs. You know, you need the life jacket. You take the life jacket,
right?
But find a practitioner to work with who can walk with you through the checklist. Is it this?
Yes.
Is it this?
Exactly.
It this? Not someone who's going to get, oh, just take this, you'll be fine.
Oh yeah, that drug didn't work, take this other one. And meanwhile, you're just making the whole imbalance worse. You know, yeah, you have to take them if it's life threatening, but let's get the imbalance corrected. Let's look at the root cause. And what you said, I think that combination of hormone and gluten intolerance, because it's just, there's a known correlation between gluten intolerance gets worse at menopause. So there's a connection there with the hormones. And sometimes things have been out of balance for a long time, but you're able to keep it together. And then one additional stress comes in, right? One additional stress. Sometimes people tell me, oh, I got mono, and suddenly all these other things happened. Why did that happen? It's just mono. Or I, went and stayed with my friends in their bungalow in Seattle. What happened there? Maybe they got exposed to molds, but it's like that one little trigger that puts you over the edge, that your bucket was about up to here and the top is here, and you threw something else in it and suddenly you overflow and now you get symptoms.
Exactly right. So Felicia Bodacious Journey Whitehair says, good night, honey. And Jenny Martin says, good night, sleep well. And Kay says, thanks so much for the links and the information. And Jenny Martin says, oh, how I wish I could be your patient, Dr. Tom. Feel like I would get better if that were so. Well, thanks, Jenny. That's very kind of you. And but I do have a team that does consultations by Skype, and they're all trained by me. So that's certainly a possibility. And for those of you that are just joining, because this is the usual time that we begin. Sorry, we had to start early today. We sent an announcement out about 3-4 hours ago, I think, about that. We had to start early. And this is Dr. Ritamarie Loscalzo, who is hosting her Shine Conference November 2nd and 3rd in Austin, Texas. Is for healthcare practitioners and the general public. I'll be speaking there, and Donna Gates and JJ Virgin will be speaking there, and everyone's welcome. And there's a link here in the notes as to that that event, so you can learn more about it. And with that, I'm going to have to say, Dr. Ritamarie, thank you so much for joining us today. It's really great. It's fun with you because we're so like-minded. I mean, you could start the answer and I could finish it, or I could start it and you would finish it, in the same sentence. It's really nice.
Right, exactly. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. I'm so looking forward to seeing you in person, and I'm excited that you're going to be there, and I can't wait to share. You bring lots of copies of your books because people will be wanting to buy them and get them autographed. And thank you again for inviting me, and thank you everybody for hanging out with us and asking great questions. And hi to everybody whose names I recognized out there and all over the world. It's great. Thank you.
Last thing I'm going to ask is that our book is in launch now. As of last week, it's available, and that is You Can Fix Your Brain. Let's see. It's this one right here. You Can Fix Your Brain. And if you haven't ordered it, please do so. If you have ordered it, order another copy and send it to someone you love and you care about. And not because for me, but really to help the planet, to get this information out to the world. And so thank you all, everyone. God bless you. And we'll see you next week.
Much love. We'll see you soon.
Yep. See you next week. Usual time. Bye-bye.